Hey guys, before I start the episode off, I wanted to give a quick warning that I do discuss topics regarding death, cancer, trauma, and a little bit of needles. So if you don't like that, on YouTube there are also time frames of when I discuss those topics, so you can go ahead and skip. Hi, welcome to the Noonchi Free podcast. I'm your host, Ash. I'm Ashley, but you could call me Ash. Everyone calls me Ash except my friends in New Jersey. Let me start by introducing myself and a little bit about me. I'm 19 years old, turning 20 next week. Oh my gosh. I'm currently in my first semester of sophomore year at Chapman University because I took a gap semester last fall, and I'm currently studying business and music technology. I have a YouTube channel called Ashgenda, where I make videos about anything from college, food, and friends to navigating hardships like taking gap semesters, caring for my mom, and navigating the recent death of my mom, and more. I like to describe myself as a hobby collector. I love making music, creating art, making lattes, and finding happiness in the little things in life. And you can learn more about me through this podcast as well as my YouTube channel. So, why did I start this podcast? And a little bit about what this podcast is going to consist of. Originally, I was going to do a short podcast segment at the end of each of my YouTube videos on my other channel, but I decided why not just start an actual separate podcast while I'm at it, because I have a lot to talk about and I might as well. As for the podcast name, I finally came to the conclusion of noonchi free after asking my friends their opinions on a bunch of other terrible names. And noonchi is a Korean word that I use all the time, and it's very widely used and known. It's hard to accurately describe this word in English. It's one of those words, but it refers to the ability to assess the vibe in social situations. Yeah, noonchi basically... Okay, let me give you some examples. If I say, he has no noonchi, it means like he cannot sense kind of what's going on, you know? That's what the word means. A lot of times though, it has a negative connotation. So growing up, I used to noonchi pa. Pa means like look. I'm sorry, this is Konglish, but if I noonchi ba around my parents, I'm walking on eggshells. Oh my gosh, this is so terrible. I'm sorry. I'm in my school apartment, and most of the episodes as of right now are going to be filmed here, so you're going to hear a lot of obnoxious vehicles from men. But anyway, it means that I'm walking on eggshells, and I'm very hyper conscious of their gaze and judgment. So growing up, it led me to be very calculative of other people's moves, moods, reactions, etc., which is why this podcast is called Noonchi Free. So everyone on the pod can speak Noonchi Free in a Noonchi Free environment, and essentially any topic is off limits. We can talk about whatever, whenever, without the fear of judgment. So yeah, another reason why I decided to start this podcast is because I love watching podcasts. Watching specifically, I don't really listen to podcasts a lot on Spotify. I like to watch like the YouTube videos that go along with the podcasts. And whenever I'm watching a podcast, I have to pause it because I have so many thoughts on the subjects being discussed. So I thought I need to start my own. Going back a little bit about my life, there have been a lot of traumatic events in the past few years of my life that I have grown a lot from, and I think I can provide... Okay, also guys, I stutter a lot. I'm sorry. I think I can provide a lot of insight, relief, comedy, relatable and interesting content for y'all. Yeah, as I mentioned before, I'm going to be covering a wide range of topics on this podcast. Many of them will be heavy and serious, even though I use a lot of humor to cope. So there's going to be a lot of, random humor, but you'll still be able to tell that I'm in a lot of pain and I'm just trying to cope. It's just a reaction at this point. I can't help it. Some of the topics will be very lighthearted, silly, and consist of some brain rot here and there, because balance is key. As of right now, a lot of the logistics of my podcast episodes are not finalized, but I do know that I want to end all of my podcasts with a segment at the end called Not So Little Things. As of right now, it might change. We never know. But I want that segment to be where I talk about the little things that have a big impact on my life as of recent, so that we can end off on a positive note always. So for today's episode, I want to talk about how it has been coming back to school post gap semester, because I think that's a good topic for you guys to further get to know me and learn where my head's at. I also want to mention, obviously this is my first episode, so I'm scared. I'm a little nervous because I'm not a good podcast host yet, but everyone starts somewhere, okay? The first is never going to be perfect, so I just need to get this done and upload it. So that's my warning. And also, this is, if you're watching on YouTube, this is a heated blanket. My mom died in this, actually. But I love her. Actually, before I get into my gap semester, let me tell you about what I'm looking forward to. Actually, no, I'll end with that. Sorry. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. So my gap semester. I took a gap semester this fall. I have a couple of videos about it on my YouTube channel here. A big topic I'm going to be discussing probably forever is my mom, my mother, and my relationship with my mother, as well as these past few years I spent navigating her sickness. So for those of you that don't know me, which is probably most of you, my mother had stomach cancer. She was diagnosed 3 years ago, the summer of my junior year. I grew up in New Jersey. Half of my life I grew up in New York. The other half exactly I grew up in New Jersey. And then I moved the summer of my sophomore year. So right before junior year, I moved to Illinois. Random, I know, but it was for my dad's work. That summer, after that school year, so the summer of my junior year, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. That's the timeline. She does chemo. She does a lot of chemo, but every couple months after surgery, the cancer seems to come back. So after my freshman year of college, when I come home, she's very visibly different. No muscle mass, black fingertips and toes, and it's really hard to see her and process all of that. So obviously what I do is I don't process it. I just shove it to the back of my head because I know there's no time for crying or anything. I just know I have to be there for her. So I have to make a very difficult decision of whether I want to take a gap semester and spend some time with her or continue school. From an outside perspective, it may not seem that difficult. And even looking back at it now, I would not think twice. I would take that gap semester, obviously with how things panned out. But when you're in the situation and when you have a mother or parent who is dying essentially from cancer, it feels like there's a clock that starts to tick. You really don't know when that clock or that timer is going to run out. Some moments you think I shouldn't worry about them passing anytime soon. But on the other hand, sometimes it'll switch and the clock might feel quicker, if that makes sense. And it just feels like, oh my gosh, she could pass away tomorrow. You really don't know. What made me decide to take the gap semester was she told me that she didn't want to go through chemo again. Basically, she had surgery again, her second surgery, and her cancer came back maybe a month after. That meant that she had to do treatment again, and she didn't want to because she had done 2 years plus of treatment at this point and surgeries. So I completely understood her, but not doing treatment meant dying. So as one does, I convinced her to try treatment again and push through because, what else could we do? But I knew that she couldn't start treatment again without my support because I have 2 brothers, one older, one younger, both 2 years apart from me, and my dad. But my dad works, my brothers are just honestly absent. They're not as involved as I wished they were. I know everyone processes things differently. My younger brother, he is a senior in high school right now, and I didn't expect any more from him, I guess. My older brother, he helped out a lot. He did what he could, I guess, but he was still, he could have done more. That's like a whole nother subject. It might sound selfish of me to say that, or it might sound inconsiderate, or it might sound bad for me to say that this person could have done more. And I get that, but I also think that my feelings are valid because I just did so much to take care of my mom and I needed help. And I didn't get the amount of help that I needed. And my older brother took the route of avoiding reality, not seeing my mom as often. And although I wanted to take that route, I knew that I was going to regret it, and I knew there were duties I had to fulfill. So I pushed all of those feelings in the back, and I was like, what needs to be done right now is I need to help my mom, and that's what's going to happen. Even though it's going to be really hard seeing her go through everything, I just need to be there. And I was. I went to every single hospital appointment, every chemo session during my gap semester and over the summer. I didn't miss a single one. I was there throughout all of her procedures where I forgot what it's called, but she got liquid extracted from her lungs, her stomach, like every couple of weeks because there would be liquid buildup due to the cancer side effects. And that was so hard. I remember the first time I sat with her through that in the operation room, which I don't know why they let me there. I feel like they should have, I don't know, for like sanitary reasons, not, but I held her hand through it. She wanted me there and I wanted to be there. So I stayed and I watched them, put the thick needle in the back where her lungs were, and she was leaning over, laying on a pillow, and she was crying. This was the first time ever, and it was the most heartbreaking thing ever. This was last winter. She was crying, and that was the first time I was in a procedure room with her, and I can't even describe it. I was crying too, obviously. It was just heartbreaking seeing her cry and be in so much pain, because for the majority of her journey, like, she tried so hard to smile and be happy, but when you're actually with her for those procedures, obviously you see the reality of what she's going through. And I saw that. I was there, and it was just, it changes you, and it was so hard to see. But I'm really glad I was there for her, because I can't believe that, like, when I was in school, she would go through all these procedures by herself. No one should have to do that. And again, this is why I have so much anger, even though I don't really show it to them and I try not to express it to them. I have a lot of anger pent up because after, witnessing her go through all of that, it's like, I can't imagine how she would do that alone. So yeah, that's what the hospital visits were like during the gap semester. As for the chemo sessions, it was the same all the time. It was hours. It was basically the whole day, because the chemo sessions, like, we'd be at the hospital for 6 hours, sometimes longer, because they would have to do blood tests beforehand, and then the chemo session itself is more than 3 hours most of the time. There's a short one and there's also a long one. She's sleeping because the medicine has her knocked out. But I remember during my winter break last year, when I went to her chemo session with her in her old hospital, she had an allergic reaction for the first time to the chemo, to the medicine that they were using. And her skin started to itch. She was itching her arms like crazy. And I was calming her down. I was trying to soothe her, but she was in pain. Her arms were red. Obviously, it's something I can't even imagine because it's internal. It's, it's literally coursing through her veins and she's allergic to it. That was another episode. But yeah, there's a lot more details to my gap semester, what the hospital visits were like, but I'll unpack those in the future, slowly, I guess. But I did go through some just now. But yeah, it was really horrifying. And I did my best. I was very positive and I was encouraging her. And we spent a lot of good time together, a lot of laughs. And who knew she would pass away this soon? I mean, it was a long fight, but still, you never really expect the end. Oh yeah, my mom passed. She passed January 27th. So today's March 27th. Whoa, that's crazy because I didn't know it was 2 months exactly today, but my body just felt it. Like, she was in my dream last night and I just felt this heaviness looming over me. I mean, I do every day because that's the reality of losing a parent. You just feel the grief looming over you every single second of the day. But yeah, it's just interesting how your body knows. I'm sorry, I'm like rambling. Okay, yeah, so I decided to take a gap semester to help her push through her treatment. Not only did I do all those hospital visits, I cleaned the kitchen like a maid. I cleaned up after the family in the kitchen. Woo! That was a lot of work. It was so tiring. Dishes every second of the day. Oh my gosh. And I took care of the dog on top of that. I was the only one that walked her 3 times a day, by the way. That girl has a small bladder. And I would clean her shit and pee when she would make little oopsies inside the house. Yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot to do. And I also did online classes. So I thought I was gonna die, but I didn't. I survived. I'm so proud of myself. But yeah, that's my gap semester in short. I've been told recently that I look like I've aged, and it's so true. I think I visibly aged like 20 years because of my gap semester, which is valid because I was working like a dog day and night. But still, yeah, it was hard. And now I'm in school. I'm sorry. Let me go over the timeline again. Post gap semester, I decide to go back to Chapman, go back to university. Right as I make that decision, my mom decides that she's going to go through something called death by dignity. Yeah, I'll go into the details in the future episodes, but it's essentially where you're in so much pain that you decide to end your life. A lot of people call it assisted suicide, but it's not good to call it that because it's different. You're literally dying from pain and then you decide you can't take the pain anymore. It's different from suicide. But it's only, the first place it was legal was in Oregon, so she decided to go to Oregon, which essentially meant that her life was going to end soon, and we knew it. We thought it was going to be at least a month before she passes, but she was only in Oregon for about a week, and then we got the phone call, my siblings and I, to go to Oregon. So we went to Oregon, and the next day she passed, and we watched her pass. And then the next day, I moved into school. And then the next week, I started school. And now we're here, spring break. So, yeah, halfway into the semester. Didn't have any time to process my mother's death. Since her death, I've just been on autopilot, moving and moving and moving. School, editing YouTube videos, making music. It has been crazy. It's been crazy. But I've been very positive through it all, besides, the typical dark humor jokes I've been making. But I get that card, I get that pass. If my mom died, I'm allowed to joke about it. I get so excited when someone makes a your mom joke now. I get to be that girl that's like, she died, actually, and make the other person super uncomfortable. That's the least I can get out of this, so... yeah, but yeah, so that's the timeline. So getting back into school again, I was in autopilot mode. It was very one thing after the other. Didn't have much time to process. Still haven't that much. I have a little bit though, because I started counseling here at school. Moving in was very smooth. I'm currently living with my best friend at Chapman. So, it's very nice that I get to live with someone I love, but also since she's been here since the fall, the apartment was all pretty much set up. It had everything we need, so I wasn't too stressed about anything. It's just a new experience living with your friend, and it's been great. We're good at communicating, so that's been great. Classes have been great. I have a good schedule. I have good professors. It's been very hard because this is the first semester where I'm taking classes for my music technology minor. But nonetheless, at least my professors are great and willing to help me if I reach out. And I also got much better at reaching out to my professors and being vocal because, I've always had an issue with that due to the fact that I noonchi my whole entire childhood. So one of the things my mom told me during our last conversation before her death, or on the day of her death, she told me, say what you want. And so now I'm taking that and I'm running with it. And I'm like, I have so many years to make up for not speaking my mind, not vocalizing my needs. So I'm going to use my professors because that's what they're here for. I'm going to use my resources. I'm going to be vocal. I'm going to say what I want and not regret in terms of, school stuff. That's what I've been doing. And I'm in a band. I'm in a band called JUJUBE. We're amazing. Everyone in there is so talented. And we have been meeting every other week, mostly every week. But we've been making so many new songs, so many things to look forward to. Follow us on Instagram. But yeah, I'm super excited about that. That has been going great. That was one of the things I was looking forward to coming back to school. And it has been more than great. So I'm very happy. And what else? I joined. So basically, I reached out, I signed up for counseling through school. When I did my call with one of the ladies who organizes that, they set me up with a grief counselor, and I spoke to her. Very nice lady. Her name's Nancy. Love her. She actually went through the same thing, essentially, as me. Her mom passed away from cancer when she was in college, and she runs the Death Club. Very horrifying name. But it's basically a club full of students whose parent passed away. And I have yet to meet with them because my schedule has been conflicting. So the first time I meet them is next week. And I'm very excited, a little nervous, but mostly excited because I feel like we're forced to trauma bond. We're forced to be trauma bonded. So I think that's funny. And I need that because talking to people who haven't experienced a death of a parent, they'll never know what you're going through, and that's, obviously that's how it's going to be, but it's hard talking to people when they will not be able to understand the gravity of pain and the weight of the situation, and hopefully won't have to understand that anytime soon. But yeah, you just need people who have went through it. That's why it's also great to have siblings. Talking to my brothers, it's obviously they experienced what I experienced during her last day and things like that. They're in my shoes, so it's good to have them to understand. But yeah, I met with a death club coordinator. She was very great. I started counseling. I've only been to 3 sessions so far, and I have a lot to talk about that as well. She told me that, I talked about my mom, but I don't know, it's just a weird thing where I feel like if your mom didn't die, I don't believe that you feel for me. Obviously everyone feels for me to a certain extent, but you won't feel for me as much as my death club coordinator will feel for me because she knows exactly what it feels like. So I prefer to talk to my counselor, my regular counselor, about other things such as family and relationship. I still do talk about, grief, because you can't avoid that. But yeah, so I talked to her about my first relationship ever, which, I will be making a podcast episode about that. There's too much to unpack there. But she told me that I was in an abusive relationship, and I was like, it makes sense because, as I was telling her the things he used to do to me, yes, those things were abusive, but why did my brain not come to the conclusion, to label the relationship as abusive? I don't know. It's probably a coping thing that your brain does where you're just scared to officially label something as an abusive relationship, which makes sense. But hearing that from my therapist made me go but it was really nice talking to her about that because it gave me a lot of closure in terms of, or validation. Yeah, validation. Because it's been over a year since we broke up, but the things he did to me obviously still impacts me because it was traumatizing. It really was. So me speaking about it, it was nice to hear that it's not that I'm not over him, because I am. That rat, I'm over that rat. I couldn't be more over that rat. He's nasty. But I'm not, the effects of his actions obviously still linger and continue to influence how I act and react. So yeah, it was just nice hearing that I'm allowed to feel that way and that's completely normal and stuff like that. So yeah, therapy has been great. Oh my gosh, I've been working out every morning. Well, not this past few weeks, but whenever I'm in college, I'm locked in for working out. I've been waking up at like 6 to work out at least 3 times a week. And I've been getting my steps in. I've been doing everything by the book, like everything I should be doing to cope healthily. But obviously, once I get downtime, like when my subconscious starts to take over when I'm sleeping, that's when the grief starts to show. Been having a lot of nights where I wake up crying, bawling. Kobe! Because my mom is in my dream and she's saying some sad shit to me. She's hugging me in my dream, telling me to tell my brother that she's at peace. Like, so it's been hard. It's been very hard. I think I'm doing the best I can. I'm a very positive person. I'm like one of those people that will be walking and I'll be like, ugh, the weather is so nice. Ugh, look at the trees. Ugh, look at the ground. Like, you know, and some people hate that, but if you aren't that person, you're not going to be able to live a fulfilling life. You're always going to be miserable if you yourself think miserably. So yeah, and I used to not be like that. I used to be the most negative person in the world, but I've grown a lot these past few years and I continue to grow every year. So yeah, I'm just trying to live my life to the fullest and I think I've been doing a great job. So yeah, some things I'm looking forward to. Hey, not a smooth transition, but I don't care. Oh my gosh, guys, I got into a wellness retreat. So basically my school sent me an email and they were like, oh, there's a wellness retreat. It's only $25 deposit and you go to the mountains, you're in a cabin and it's 40 students only get chosen for this. There's yoga, there's wellness hikes, there's bonding, teamwork activities. I was like, oh my gosh, count me in. So I signed up for that shit so fast. I got in. It's the day after my birthday. My birthday's April 3rd. It's April 4th. I'm so excited for the people I'm going to be meeting, for the activities we're going to be doing. I feel like it's going to feel like middle school, like camping or sleepaway camps. And I'm so excited. I can't believe it's only $25. But yeah, that's something I'm looking forward to next week. Also, I briefly mentioned this. I'm turning 20 next Thursday. I'm really excited. I mean, everyone's asking me like, how do you feel you're gonna turn 20? And they say it in a way where it's like, I should be scared, but I'm not scared. 20 can take me. I'm ready. And I'm so excited. Like, I'm so excited. I'm ready for that era. I know it means I'm growing up, but 20... she ain't ready for me. That's the thing. Like, she needs to look out for me. By the way, guys, I got this lip piercing pretty recently. I don't even know. Has it been a month? I don't think so. And she was not infected or irritated at all, but last week I went to get udon with my roommate and her sister. The noodles were so thick that it was tugging as I was slurping, and now she's infected. Now she's irritated. Now she's mad. It looks so nasty. I hope you're listening to this and not watching because, oh, so nasty. But please pray for me. Please pray for me because I got this piercing because I wanted it so bad for a long time, but I wanted it and then my best friend got it and I was like, oh, right, I can just get it. So she really, she influenced me and I was like, I can get it right now. And I was like, this is the perfect time. It's like the last teenager thing I'm gonna do before I turn 20. Let me do it. And I did, and it looks so bad. It looks so good. I love her and I want her to stay forever, so I need this infection to go away. So please pray for me. But yeah, I hope you guys had a great week. I hope you guys are having a great year, 2025. I hope your year's not going like mine. Actually, no, I shouldn't say that. My year's going great, besides the fact that my mom died first thing. It's going great. It's going great. So, yeah. Thank you for listening. If you're even here at all, probably not. So, it's probably just me. But if you are here, thank you so much for listening. I hope you tune in. It's going to be so much fun when I have guests because I have a lot of funny friends, a lot of amazing friends, a lot of intelligent folks that will be guests on the pod soon. So yeah, and a lot of topics to get into. So tune in next week. Thank you.